All right, guys, welcome to the Tribe Podcast. So this is our very first week, and I want to be the very first one to welcome you guys here. This kind of gives me a huge throwback to my first days in sales when we would have a weekly podcast that was put out, and we looked forward to it every single time because we got to see who did what, how well they performed, and the goal was to be the top guy on the list every single week. And so for me, that's something that pumped me up every single week as a first year, second year, and it's led me on until I've gotten here. So I just want to welcome you guys to this. We did a little bit with some guest speakers on last preseason's podcast. We had people like Kyle Burton, who was able to show up. He's one of our wealth managers. We'll be having him come back on. We had real estate people like Coach Ward. We had people all over the place that were hopping on. We had David Edgell, who's one of the powerlifter coaches for people like Braden Roten, Parker Langeveld, some of our vice presidents and presidents of sales here at Hawks. But here in the Tribe, we do two different things. We obviously do fiber and pest. So I want to be the first to welcome you guys to this. And we're going to be primarily using this as a news channel on a weekly basis. Primarily. Occasionally we'll be having some more high level content. That's part of the plan as well. We'll be shooting every single Monday. So I want to be giving you guys the information that you guys need to take and run with this. Now, before I do, I just want you guys to know that this is a mandatory thing. So every single week, we're gonna need each person within the tribe to be watching this and then to actually be confirming back that you have watched this. So we'll be doing a follow-up report to make sure that it has been watched, and we have a sheet to track that because this is part of engagement. You know, one of the funniest parts about this job is that a lot of people see it as a true job during the summer, but the reason why they don't see it as a real job is simply because they don't have structure in the preseason. And so this is part of that structure. This is intention setting, guidance, etc. So I want to jump into a few things, a few expectations that every single person should have. The biggest problem in the door-to-door space in the preseason is that people don't know how to track their business. And there's multiple metrics to track, and those metrics we call KPIs, key performance indicators. And those KPIs, if you look at the numbers, you can actually see how successful somebody is at a particular trait. And then if you look at it from an organizational standpoint, you can see how well is an organization performing and what are they good at or why aren't they performing. And it's really cool because the metrics speak for themselves. It's a way where we can look at data and be businessmen instead of just salesmen. So for a lot of you guys who've just finished your first pest control summer, this is definitely a time to be listening in. If you're a new rep into the organization, this is definitely a time to be listening in to see what type of metrics do I track. So for this week, I want to just very simply put out one of the key most important things. We have 10 core metrics that we track, and this is very good, particularly for rookies who are coming into the door, and this is particularly good for new reps coming into the door. So I'm gonna go through those things, and hopefully we can, if you don't have a pen and paper, then I would encourage you to grab one right now and write these things down. Remember, you'll be applying this right after you guys see this. This goes into effect right after today. So make sure that you guys are in effect with this, and I'll tell you how. So the very first of the 10 indicators are the following. Number 1 is number of contacts. Number 2 is how many first meetings. Number 3 is how many second meetings. Number 4 is how many fourth meetings. And that's essentially a signing meeting. I'll tell you guys why we skipped 3 in a future time. Essentially, it's more for in-person versus out of state or virtual recruiting. Last is number 5 is actually a signed rep. Okay. Now there's 5 more. So number 6 is onboarded / door-to-door ready. So door ready. That means that they're trained up sufficiently to go knock the doors. Number 7 is start, meaning they've arrived to their area. Number 8 is first sale. Number 9 is their first recruit. And number 10 is re-sign, meaning that they're planning on going to their next knock-in experience. Now, this isn't just for management. This is also for people who are just scaling and wanting to grow their business. There's 2 main methods that you can grow through in the door-to-door space, and really in any space. It's through your own production and through other people's production. And so anybody, as my mentor says, anybody that wants to make the true money, there's two different things to remember. There's a short game, which is sales, and there's a long game, which is recruiting. And simply put, the recruiting game has to do with real business. After you learn to sell, you learn to grow teams. After you grow teams, you start to learn to start companies, and it scales from there. So we hope that every person here goes through that process and it does their entrepreneurship journey. Now, I want to go through a few things. Those KPIs are going to be tracked through an accountability Google form. It's your responsibility, if you're listening to this, that you have to fill out a Google form on a weekly basis. If you don't fill out the Google form, then you have what we call relegation. This means that you'll actually either have some negative consequence, or you kind of get pushed out of getting attention fed to you because it doesn't make sense to work with you if you don't want to work with us. And so you relegate yourself through that process, or you eliminate yourself through that process. So you have to fill out these are mandatory. You fill out the 10 metrics. How many people did you contact, especially in the preseason, right? Also, I forgot to mention, if you are out there selling, how many sales did you get that week and how many installs? Those are things that we're going to be tracking. Particularly, we're working on the installs. That's hard to track right now, but we're working simply on the sales. So that's very simple. So the 10, and then how many sales are you making, especially in the fiber game right now. So with all of that being said, you have a Google form you have to fill out on a weekly basis. Now, every person here is either part of a Dream 10 or has a Dream 10. It means you have 10 core individual players that are the biggest needle movers in your organization. Your job is to do all your Dream 10 calls at the beginning of every Monday. After that, you should be having a team call. And those team calls is those core 10 people need to come together and get the guidance in the direction that they need to. And that stems down from the very top. Secondly, there's an organization call. And that's something that I host on a weekly basis. This is at 4:30 p.m. MST. So I'm going to be doing a guiding call where I will give announcements. There's really 7 main things that you should expect on that call. There's announcements. There is recruiting tips. There's sales tips. There is culture tips. There's leadership tips. There's retention, and there's one more that I can't remember off the top of my head. But those announcements will be helping you and guidance throughout the course of the week so that you guys can actually perform at a high level. Also, we'll be working on integration into the apps and the systems and softwares we have, like the AMPA network or the Hawks community or Get Hawks. So that every person can be well trained here. And this is for fiber and for pest. So anyways, these are some of our core things. Every person has to check this off. Once you've watched this, text back my assistant that it's been confirmed. We put it down in the sheet, and it has to be on a weekly basis. But up until that's done, guys, we are so excited to see you guys' push on recruiting this week and on sales this week. So if you don't have a blitz planned, let's get one planned. If you aren't recruiting at a high level, let's get recruiting at a high level. And guys, I wish you the very best of luck this week. Let's go crush.